Today I'm going to be making one of my favorite recipes. It's an Armenian eggplant dish from George Mardikian. I take the tops off the eggplants and I slice the eggplant lengthwise in thin slices. The first slice is super thin because I'm getting rid of a little of the peel. One secret about slicing eggplant and tomatoes, I like to use a knife with a serrated blade. It goes through that thin skin much easier. I'm doing 2 eggplants on this dish. I usually use 1 large, but these aren't quite as large eggplants as I'm used to. I'm slicing them about this thin. Then I salt them liberally, both sides. I put a lot of salt on. This makes them more pliable. They're going to get soft. And I'm putting them in a colander, which I'll set in the sink. They're going to lose a lot of liquid and be soft and easy to handle because I'm going to roll them up. While that's setting in the salt, I'm making my ground meat stuffing. Now you can use ground lamb or ground beef or a combination. Ground lamb isn't as easy to find as it used to be. Considering things have gotten more gourmet, it's kind of ironic that things have disappeared and gotten more generic. So I've got a pound of ground beef here. I'm putting in a finely chopped onion and about a half a cup of finely chopped parsley. I'll tell you what, I'm a little embarrassed about this recipe because for a dish that produces such exuberant responses, it's embarrassingly simple. So I just mix this up. Hands usually do a better job than a mixing spoon. Of course, you could haul out your mixer and put the proper blade in and mix it that way, but I think food that has been touched by hands is probably healthier. I mean, it's had human contact. It's been touched by hands that are looking forward to feeding loved ones. So that extra ingredient is being supplied. And then I'm drying them on a paper towel. I rinse them to get rid of the salt and the sort of blackish juice that they had given off. So I'll get them dry. I didn't put any salt in the meat stuffing. A little pepper and a little paprika. There's going to be more paprika in the casserole. So I take maybe a tablespoon or so of the meat and put it on the slice and roll the slice up. And then I have a strip of bacon. I cut them in half lengthwise. And then I'm going to fasten that with a toothpick. So that holds the little roll together. And I'm putting them into a casserole. This recipe, everybody that has it says they've never had it before. It's a classic Armenian recipe. When I was 17, I came to San Francisco for the first time. I was alone, but I had a lot of things I wanted to do. And one was to go to Omar Khayam's, because I had actually memorized the Rubaiyat when I was in high school. It was my Bible. And I just felt I had to eat at Omar Khayam's. This was one of the 2 or 3 Armenian restaurants in San Francisco. And it was operated by George Mardikian. And I managed to get this recipe out of him before leaving. And I've been making it ever since. Bear in mind, I grew up at a time and in a family where even using herbs was unthought of. Nobody ever heard of anything like oregano or cooking with wine in a teetotaler family? No way. So my diet was very Midwest, simple to say the least, Spartan, deprived, I realized later. Omar Khayam's was a kind of expensive place down on Union Square. 8 years later, when I returned to San Francisco to set up permanent residency here, I started eating it a lot at a restaurant that William Saroyan frequented, called the Cairo, and it was down in what is now Shishi Soma, but it was very, very funky, and it was run by a woman. Her name was Noni. She was a fabulous cook, and we used to eat there a lot. It wasn't very expensive, and it didn't have any shishi. You know, there were no rugs on the carpet. It was upstairs. You went in a very small doorway and climbed up the stairs, which were, I think at one time may have been painted a deep burgundy color. But now it was, you couldn't tell what color. It was sort of mahogany color or something. Anyway, you didn't see the walls or the ceiling on this narrow staircase very clearly because everything was hung with artificial grapes. It was very atmospheric. A little unsettling to the first-time visitor, but when you found out the nature of the food that was up there. She was a big woman. She must have weighed 300 pounds. And she also had 2 daughters. She made a pilaf, which that's what I'm going to do with this dish is I always serve it with a Bulgur Pilaf. Goes very well with that. When I have a too long piece for the size of my roll, I break it in half because I don't want an excess of bacon in the dish. It's serving its purpose, and it will flavor. That's another reason I didn't salt the meat. Between the salting the eggplant and the bacon, you have to be careful. You could over salt it if you added more salt. Now, I have used up all my eggplant, and I still have some meat. Sometimes it's the other round. I've used up the meat, and so I just make a few little balls to put in there. So there's my dish. Beautiful old pot, a Valois pot that I've had for many years. Now I'm adding tomato juice. You can use any kind of prepared tomato juice. And I put in maybe a couple of cups. I'm bringing it up about halfway up the level. That should be enough. Then it's going to bake. I'm going to sprinkle it all with paprika. I'm using some Spanish paprika here. That's the main seasoning, quite a bit of paprika. And add a little more paprika. Also taking off some of the fat that has risen to the top.